plugins. Now, how many people here are in the plugin business? Free, paid plugins, themes. How many of you use or have bought free or paid plugins? Oh, sorry, paid plugins, paid themes. A lot of people, A lot of us, in fact, in numerous WordCamps, this is a standard question. How do I obscure my code? How do I hide my code so that people don't peddle my software illegally? That's a standard question from developers. A lot of people don't understand how to sell software with WordPress, how to develop software with WordPress. That generally happens because a lot of us don't understand how licensing works. We understand how EULA of Microsoft works. Right? You get an end user license agreement that nobody reads and clicks and installs. So WordPress has a similar license. A lot of open source software has a license that is a little different from licenses that restrict you. It's more of a free license. So we have someone here who's going to talk about and explore this license for you, the license, the GPL license, GNU General Public License. And I'll hand it over to Kartik to talk about this to you.
Hello.
Come on, yeah, he's a speaker. Encourage him.
Humor me, please. Can you hear me?
Kartik, don't come too ahead.
You can hear me? I'm audible? Yes. Thank you so much. So we're going to talk about the GPL license. Do you know how to pronounce that first three letters? GNU? GNU. GNU is a nice word. I like nu. Just nu with the silent G. I like the silent G. So GPL, people are very confused about GPL. People have misunderstood what's GPL. People assume a lot of things about GPL. But it's a very powerful license. It's a very powerful concept. I'm watching, don't worry. Just like everyone here is watching. I'm not going to fall off. So we're going to talk about the GPL license. Before we talk about the GPL license, let me understand from here, how many of you know what the GPL license is? Yes. You won't know when I tell you something wrong. Because not many people know much about the GPL license. No problem. Okay. So this is the father of GPL. Oh. No. Oh, the right Richard. Richard Stallman, not Richard Gere. Richard Stallman's the father of GPL. How many of you knew this? Does it matter? Yes, some people think it matters. And I like that. It does matter. Because then you understand what is this baby? What is the origin of this baby? What are its parents like? Were they cool guys? Right? I like to know about the parents when I want to see the baby. GPL was envisioned, written, propagated, sometimes fanatically, by Richard Stallman for a long time. He still does, by the way. I love the fact that we're studying about the history of GPL, and you can still hear Richard speak in many places around the world. He looks a little older than that. Now, I tried to find an old picture of his, similar to Gere's photo. But let's understand what motivated Richard to actually go and write the GPL. Right? So what is the GPL? I won't ask you because you don't know. You just now told me you don't know. It's a software license. That's straightforward. General public license. So it's a license, just like Microsoft has a license, Oracle has a license, Novell has a license. Everybody have licenses for their software. GPL is a simple license for software. What does a license do? It offers rights. It tells you what you can and can't do. It tells people what this software can be used for, what this software can't be used for, what you can do with the software, just like Microsoft says. You can't do this. You can't put it on 2 servers. You can't put it on 20. If you want, give me more money. I'll give you the permission to do that. It's all fine. That's Microsoft's license. GPL has a big list of do's and don'ts as well. It's not so simple. Or is it? Or is it not? It's not a copyright. How many people know what's a copyright? It's not a copyright. Or it doesn't offer copyright. It's a copyleft. How many people know what's copyleft? I'm not joking here. Just because you don't know what GPL, I'm not making this up. Please. Just like Idea Smithy, I looked this up yesterday. I'm sure that you can revalidate when you go back. So,
right angle and left angle.
Aha. Copyleft is to get your attention. Richard Stallman came up with the concept of copyleft because he didn't like copyright. He doesn't like copyrights. He says copyrights are not for human beings in software. He has a lot of concepts about what copyrights are, why they harm the software industry, why they're terrible. So he said, let's come up with a copyleft. What is a copyleft? A copyleft is actually a way to protect the copyright of software. So GPL is not a copyright. Remember, it's a copyleft. We'll understand a little more what copyleft means and why it's called a copyleft, but it's not a copyright. Let's understand a little bit. There are two events in Richard's life which motivated, can I say this? The birth of GPL. So the first event revolves around this big hulk of a machine, a Xerox laser printer. So Richard, by the way, I didn't give you a little introduction about him. Richard was a student at Harvard, then he was a professor or a research scientist at, MIT. Very learned, one of the early hackers of the explorers time. So he was the hacker when ARPANET was setting up their network. He was the hacker which people would talk to before they set up protocols, or he was one of the group of people who did. So he had a printer like this in his college when he was studying at Harvard. And he had a terrible problem. He used to send a print to his machine, and then he'd walk sometimes one floor down because he's on a different floor, sometimes across the room. And then he'd go after 10 minutes and he'd see my print got stuck. How many people have got their print stuck in their printers? Everybody. You don't like that. So what did Richard say? Richard was not like most of us who'd just simply cuss a little, use some 4-letter words and then print it again. Richard went back and wrote some software to send an email to you. Your print is stuck. He did that. He went and wrote some software. He wrote software on an old machine called PDP-10, PDP-11, PDP-10. These are very, very old machines. Probably 1/5 the capacity of one of these laptops here, but very old and very powerful at that time. So he wrote some software which said, hey, your printer, the printer paper is stuck. So, and what did he do? He was a big believer, not an individual. He didn't send it to you saying, hey, your printer, he sent it to everyone saying the printer paper is stuck. Because he said, whoever's near the printer will go and fix it. He liked it. He said, yay, now I don't have to go uselessly because whenever the printer paper gets stuck, somebody will fix it. Then what happened is, this he did in Harvard. Then he went to MIT. And then Xerox gave them this new, they donated this new printer. Not this printer, but something like this. They donated this printer to him, and then he had the same problem. He used to send a 50-page document, and then he'd come and see, oh, printer jam, and not his printer jam. Some poor guy sent his email about, about attending a conference, and that printer is stuck, that paper is stuck, and so 15 jobs behind him are stuck, and he couldn't get his printer. Oh, it's a terrible mess. So he said, let me write that software again here. Did he get access? Oops. He tried to get access to the Xerox software, the software running the printer. Do you think he got access? No. Xerox said, what? You want my software? What else do I have? You already have my hardware. You just press those 3 buttons. If it works, it works. Be thankful that it is getting those print. Look at all the others in India who don't get printers yet. Be happy. So Richard said, no, I want the software. He went and talked to the research scientist at Xerox Corporation. Can I have this software, please? And that scientist said, no, I will make sure you will not get this software. Now, apparently, this is written in many places, but apparently, not enough people around the world, both that scientist and Richard remember this incident too well. So don't ask him next time you meet him. So this was one motivation. People hide software. I need to do something with this software. I want to make it better for me, for my friends, for everybody. And you're telling me you can't touch it because, my bosses told me I can't or I can't or whatever. So he said, this is no good. And then another incident in his life. Another incident which related with another father. Does anybody know what James Gosling is famous for? Java. He's another dad. father of Java, respected man, God till recently. Oracle took over Java, nobody uses it, that's okay. But Gosling is a respected man in the software industry. Does anybody know what's the Emacs, E-M-A-C-S? Some people know it's an editor. It's the early version of Notepad, Word, VI, Vim, Nano, Less. It's an early version of all those. It's still very powerful. Gosling himself says don't use it, but people still use it. They're very happy with it. They love typing shortcuts which nobody understands what it does, but it does something on the screen. And it's good, it's powerful. So Gosling wrote this editor. He took the help of a lot of people, saying, please help me, it's a free editor, help me write some libraries for highlighting, write some libraries for saving, write some, and then don't worry, I'll give you back, I'll give you the software again when it's ready. So he did that, people helped, they came up with the Gosling Emacs, it's called the Gosling Emacs. And then Richard Stallman came and said, nice, Gosling Emacs is a nice software, I'll take it and I'll port it, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll make it a little better, and he started using it. And then Gosling went and joined a company. I forget the name of the company. But he joined the company and sold the license of Emacs to that company. The company said, yes, we give you a job only if you promise to sign this. He said, okay, sign, tell me where to sign. So now that company owned the license of Gosling Emacs. He promised a lot of people that he'll keep it free, please contribute. I don't remember. Gosling says, I don't remember. So now that company contacts Richard Stallman and says, Mr. Stallman, you are using software which I have license for, stop using it. Richard looked like, you're telling me that I can't go to the toilet. I can't use software which is available, I have the source code, and you're telling me don't use it? You must be mad. This is the second incident in his life. Obviously, there are many more incidents. This is an oversimplification, just like saying Dhirubhai Ambani built this huge industry because he got insulted in one petrol pump. No, no, no. He did a lot of other things. It's not just that. A lot of people get insulted every day. They don't go and build 15,000 crore companies. But these two things really, really pissed Richard Stallman off. He said, people write software and then they don't allow people to change them. And he says, companies, they hoard software. They keep it within themselves and they don't let anybody else make changes. No good. He used a little colorful language, but I'm just saying it simply. He didn't like it. So he wrote the GPL. Just before we go on to the details, I just want to give an overview of what the adoption of GPL is today. Now, 50% is GPL 2 and about 5-6% is GPL 3. So 55% of the world's open source software today uses GPL or some variations. There's AGPL, there's some other variations. There's LGPL. We don't have time to go through every single variation of GPL. The GPL rules the open source world. Some people don't like it, some people refuse to accept it, but it rules. There is a lot of software, useful, popular, enterprise, retail software which is GPL. So I struggled with trying to say how can I explain, how can I articulate what the GPL is. It's a big document, it's about 10 pages depending on the font and the size, page size. But it essentially gives you 4 freedoms. That's the essence. And I told you those 2 stories, so you'll understand this quickly. It gives you 4 freedoms. Who likes freedom? So we're not talking about the type of freedom that Mahatma Gandhi got us. We're talking about the kind of freedom that Richard Stallman wanted from Xerox, from Gosling. He wants freedom. He wanted freedom to do what? Freedom 1. He wanted to run the program he has in his hands in any way he wants. He wants to run the program to set up a website or to set up a blog. He wants to run the program to control his TV or to run his mobile. It's none of the software creator's business. Once you give it to me, I'll do what I want with it. That's this freedom that Stallman wanted, and he wanted to give to you and me. Run it any which way you want, on any device, on any target. Do what you want with it. Execute it where you want, without any caveats. Simple enough, Once the software is with you, you should be able to run it wherever, whatever, however you want to. Freedom 2. Study. I want the freedom to study and change the software. Now you see where the stories come in picture. I want to be able to look at your software and say it's good. I want to be able to look at your theme and say, is it infected? I want to be able to look at your plugin and say, can I add a feature? I want to be able to look at the software, study it, and change it. If I want. You don't have to, but I want the freedom. 99% of people who use GPL never do use this freedom. But they can. That's the essence. They can, if they want to, if you want to. So you can change it. You can, so which means there's a prerequisite to this. The prerequisite is you have to have access to the source code. Right? Without the source code, can you study the program? No. We're not going to be able to look at hexabytes and binary files and say what's happening. No, we need to see the code. Any language, that's fine. Language is okay. We can understand Hindi, Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, no problem. Language is not a problem, but we need to see the source code. And then we need to be able to change it and compile it again. And then it will become a new program. So freedom 1, I can run the program where I want. Freedom 2, I can study it and I can change it. Freedom 3 is to share. I want the freedom to share the original program. So he said, if I have a program, I want to give it to you. I want to give it to you. I want to give it to someone else. Just like how when he was in MIT, he went back to Harvard, he copied the program and came back and tried to execute it here on the Xerox machine, new Xerox printer. So he said, I want the freedom to share the program. Simple enough. I want to run it, I want to study it and change it, and I want to share it. And freedom 4 is I should be having, I want the freedom to share the modified program. It's a very simple enhancement of the first one, which says, I want to be able to share the program as is, or modify it and share it again. So I can take that great WP Security plugin, make changes to it, and call it WP Security Kartik, and say, share it. So these are the 4 freedoms Richard Stallman wanted for himself, for you, for me, and he wrote the GPL. And in a sense, if you had to answer to your mom what the GPL was, it says, GPL gives me freedom. She'll understand. Much better than somebody who explains to her that GPL is free software. He says, free? What is free? She knows nothing is free. So GPL gives you 4 freedoms. Can you tell me what those freedoms are? What's freedom 1? Run the program. Nice. What's freedom 2? Nice. And what's freedom 3? And 4? Freedom to share the modified program. That's all there is to GPL. That's all there is to GPL. You can go back to your mobiles now. There'll be lots of other stuff, but you can go back. GPL gives you freedoms. It gives you 4 freedoms. It allows you to do a lot of stuff with software. Before we go on to more WordPress stuff, and to see how GPL impacts WordPress, and to see how WordPress impacts GPL. Any questions? Yes. I'm sorry? Right? Absolutely. It's valid. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Except, yes, you can. So the gentleman there asked whether he can sell somebody else's program. So the simple answer is yes. The more complicated answer is, so can the guy who buys it from you. That's what the GPL gives you. The GPL license is copyleft, which means you cannot stop the copyright. The copyright is held by the writer of the software, but when you hand over the software to anybody, the GPL license propagates like a surname. Very difficult to get rid of a surname. unless you want to add letters in it and things like that. But the license propagates with existing software. So if you sell, give away, donate, bully, do whatever you want, you give it to the new person has exactly the same right as you. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
Does that imply that once the creator puts a GPL on a software, the other person cannot modify it as well?
He cannot modify the license.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that is the copyleft protection that Richard Stallman installed. That's why he said, I will not have anybody else get treated badly like I was treated by James Gosling.
Okay.
James Gosling said, after I have free software, now I can't use it because I have now sold it. Tough if you want more, if you want it. So he said, nobody else will suffer like I suffered.
But you can update your license with GPL updated license.
Yes, newer versions of GPL always welcome. That's fine. Good point, very good point. So the only change that you can do to an existing GPL license is upgrade it to the latest GPL version. So we're at GPL version 3 now. You could take GPL version 1 software and upgrade it and sell it, give it away, propagate it to GPL version 3 or 2. It's a very good point. You can change the GPL license as long as it's in the same family, like surname. Same family. Okay.
What about AGPL and other variant of GPL?
Okay.
Like not version, but other variant of GPL.
Sure. So AGPL, FRO GPL, LGPL, lesser or library. Library is the true word, but a lot of people call it lesser because they treat it lesser than GPL. So these have variants. So obviously, like anything else, people said GPL is nice, it's good, but there are some reasons and some places where GPL doesn't work for me. Let's start with AGPL. Let's start with LGPL. So I'll give you a brief about LGPL. Probably we'll speak offline about AGPL. It's a little more complex. So LGPL talks about library GPL, which allows somebody to use a library within non-GPL software and not declare the whole non-GPL software as GPL. Only if it is LGPL. So if I write a code to do enhancement of a paragraph with, let's say, case, checking case and spelling, and I write some algorithm, and an editor wants to use it. If a non-open source editor uses my GPL library, they have to also make their editor GPL. But if I release this library under the LGPL license, they can use my library as is, distribute it or incorporate it, but the target output software need not necessarily become GPL again. Okay? There are lots of licenses. I oversimplified it with that graph which says 55% is GPL, but there must be another 100 licenses with small percentages. Variations. Yes?
I had a question. Suppose if I am having a software with GPL license and I am not obeying their rules and their laws, I change.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
Just a minute.
It's a violation of the law.
Just a minute. Let me complete.
Sorry. Yes.
Suppose if I don't obey their laws, I just change their complete GPL license and sell it without carry forwarding their license. Who is going to sue me? And if somebody, in what court? I mean, where?
Yeah, I mean, do we have any examples of this thing happening?
Yes. Yes. So this question will come up again and I'll give you references to it, but very quick answer. The right to sue you lies with the copyright owner, the guy who wrote the code the first time, which is only one person. It could be Richard Stallman, it could be you, it could be me, it could be anybody. The right to sue you is that one person. You can sue on behalf of that person by demonstrating that a copyright has been violated, a license agreement has been violated. It's possible, and there are precedents in Germany, in France, in Hungary, a lot of places in the world where big, popular, money-making companies have been forced to pay up because they did exactly what you described. They threw away the GPL license, but the code remained. They're so lazy and sloppy that they kept even the comments. किसको पता चलेगा? किसको पढ़ने भी नहीं आता है? Somebody in a suit decided कि will it go tomorrow if I put this? Yes, it will go. It's illegal? I didn't hear. Doesn't matter. I'll make that guy sign. Nothing will happen to me. So answer is yes, you can be sued. The copyright lies with the original writer, and he or somebody who represents him can come after you, or whoever does this. Okay, so how does GPL foster innovation? All the stuff that Richard Stallman grew up with. GPL is not like Einstein's theories, where he meditated and thought up of fictitious hypothetical situations. GPL has come from real pain. In a way, he really birthed this license. He said, I'm suffering, I'm struggling. These big companies, they come and lock off my software. These guys, they take my work and then they call it their own, and then nobody else can take it forward. So GPL fosters innovation by making sure that work builds up. We don't all have to write the most beautiful algorithm or the most beautiful function. But as long as we add one good line of code, 2-3 lines of code, one function, one page, it's going to be better tomorrow. It's going to be better for the next version. It facilitates small or large contributions. This is a big barrier. It used to be that contributing to popular enterprise software around the world was only the luxury of people working in IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, Infosys. No, anyone working, not working, educated, uneducated. Anyone who can understand code, anybody who can check in code, anybody who can do troubleshooting can contribute in small or large bits. GPL allows people to get credit. Please remember, suppose you take somebody's software and you add 6 lines to it, you are the copyright owner of those 6 lines. You can sue the guy who uses these 6 lines without GPL license attached to it. Every line of code you add to anybody else's code, the copyright is held with the person who's written that code. As long as you've written it, don't copy it from somewhere else and say it's mine. As long as you've written it, it gives you credit. It creates a sense of community. As Saurabh said, who's WordPress? We. We're WordPress. So GPL creates a wonderful sense of community. Why? Because there isn't that superior, inferior, there isn't that better, worse. There's just, let's just get this software a little better. And that works. Oh, what about security concerns? I'm going to go fast in this, okay? All questions should not take more than 4 or 5 minutes. Everybody's worried about security concerns, I know. So why does GPL and open source software, how has GPL and open source software got away with security issues? Because there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not more, of testers and fixers of popular GPL software. How many people agree with this? Others don't know, that's why they're not agreeing. It's true. There are hundreds, if not thousands, if not more, of testers and fixers of GPL software. And that's what makes security tight. It's not that the software itself is inherently secure. No, it's probably not. But when a problem is found, it's fixed faster than Apple can fix it, faster than Microsoft can fix it, faster than anybody else can fix it. Because there are no barriers to fixing it. The incentive and passion to fix bugs is really high in the open source community. In the closed source, in the proprietary community, the incentive to fix bugs is quarterly revenue, release cycles, safeguard your job, follow your boss's orders, is organizing the convention more important, or fixing these bugs more important for your boss? Probably the convention, because that's where he'll get his promotion. So you will postpone the bug fix. That's not there in a community situation. Having said that, some bad things happen. How many people have had their website broken when they upgraded WordPress?
Not
it happens.
anymore.
It happens. Probably more, but it happens. Have a backup. Have another plan. It's the same thing. How many people have had iOS break them? The update has their phones broken. How many people have had Android break their phones? Android is similar to WordPress, but it still happens. So please, there is no clear-cut answer that security will solve everything. But I mean, GPL is, purely secure and safe software, there are problems, there will be problems. Have a backup plan and you can be assured that it will get solved as soon as possible. GPL and WP theme and WP plugin developers. How many people think, okay, let's see the first one. WordPress is GPL, everybody agrees? No choice. It is what? It is GPL because the copyright holders decided it. Matt and a bunch of others decided WordPress will be released under the GPL license. So if you're using it, you can use it, you're happy to use it, you have all the freedoms that Richard Stallman promises you, but it remains GPL. Are all plugins and themes GPL? Oh. Very vehement no's. How many people think yes? How many people think no? How many people think maybe? How many people think? Nobody. Okay. Some are there. Okay. Varied opinion, right? There is no right answer for this. There is no consensus answer yet. There are opinions. I have an opinion. The gentlemen here have an opinion. The ladies there have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. There isn't yet a 100% clear black and white answer. So many people use split licensing. They say theme code is GPL, but the HTML, CSS is not GPL. Some people say possibly the text and the labels are not GPL. There's the concept of split licensing. How many of you know ThemeForest and Envato's marketplace? They use split licensing. They allow a developer to sell plugins and themes using split licensing, which says, okay, whatever is supposed to be GPL, keep it GPL. The rest, we'll keep it as non-GPL. Technically, let me be honest, technically a theme, split licensing meets the requirements of GPL. It will pass a GPL test. It may not pass the father's wish. Richard Stallman may not be too happy, but it passes his original 4 freedoms. It gives you the 4 freedoms. My opinion, oh, I'm going to get shot down for this. My opinion is all WordPress themes and plugins are GPL. I heard somebody say should be, and I like that. Should be GPL because they aren't. So why should WordPress plugins and themes be GPL? Because a theme and a plugin doesn't exist without WordPress. You are not writing a cPanel backup code. If you wrote a cron job to back up the MySQL database and the folder, made a zip out of it and put it in box, that would probably not be GPL. You'd probably write that in C, you'd write it in PHP, you could write it in Java, you could do a lot of things, any language. That would probably not be GPL. But what you're doing when you write a backup plugin is you're writing some code and leaving it. And then you're saying the WordPress GPL software will pick it up, swallow it whole, take it inside, integrate it completely, and change its behavior based on your code. And my opinion, thank God guns are not allowed here, GPL plugins and themes should be GPL. Yes. Like me. No. So we're going to come to some of the next points. Selling GPL software is great. It's good. I make a living selling GPL software, as a lot of people here do. We sell GPL software. We'll come to how, why, what we do. But you can sell GPL software, but it doesn't mean you can take away the license of the code which you write. Okay? Anybody has any opinions on this? Why they think it shouldn't be GPL?
But if you're selling it, I sold it, I bought it, then again I can sell it without giving you any money for that.
Yes? Yes? And probably, what's your name?
Saket.
Saket. So suppose you take WP Mu Devs. What's the plugin that Vachan you said? Snapshots. So Snapshots is available for $19 on WP Mu Dev.
Yeah.
Right? So you buy that for $19, WP Mu Dev Snapshot, and you say this is now Snapshot.
It's
Sorry,
for
your name.
Saket.
Saket. Snapshot Saket. And sell it for
$5.
$5. That's what prompts these guys to say, $5 में क्या virus है क्या?
Okay, then I can sell it for $20.
Yes, then if you can, then he'll say loot रहा है, 19 में मिल रहा है. गधेड़ा हूँ मैं.
But the thing is that what I'm saying, the original creator is not getting anything for that.
Yeah, I know, but he never expected to when he wrote GPL software. He agreed. By using WordPress, he agreed to this, whether he likes it or not. He agreed to continue on, to give that freedom which he got. See, he had the freedom to write code in the WordPress framework to do whatever he wanted. And he said, I will give that to you only if you pay me $19.
No, I mean, I'll just reframe this
Sure.
whole thing. There are lots of people who don't know, you know, like you, examples you said. If I'm buying it for $19, selling it for $5, there are lots of people who don't know.
Yes.
I can sell it as my proprietary. I can, you know, instead of calling it Snapshot Sanket, I can instead of call it Sanket, I'll just,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, yes.
And then who's going to, like that question came.
Yes.
This guy won't know that I'm selling it for $5.
Would know or wouldn't know?
Over a period of time.
No, would know or wouldn't know?
Wouldn't know.
Wouldn't know. Then nothing, no problem. I don't know a lot of sins done against me. I'm happy. No problem. Seriously, let's understand one thing. The GPL license is not about right and wrong. There are a lot of crooks in the GPL world as well. None in this room, I'm sure. But there are a lot of crooks in the GPL world as well who want to throw away the GPL license, who want to, you know, modify the license against the wishes of the father of GPL. But so it doesn't stop human beings to behave in a good, bad, ugly way. Right? We're talking about what the license is. It's only after, I would say, after decades, if not more, that in India we're talking about intellectual property in this way. Otherwise, can you imagine people saying, copying is it allowed? What do you mean, is it allowed? We're talking about, you're saying, will somebody catch me? What about all those DVDs? Those guys don't worry about if anybody will catch them or not. Time almost up. Alex has given me that look. Okay, very quickly. GPL does not affect non-code assets. So you write text, you put images, you put CSS. No, CSS is code. You put images, you put text, video, audio, it's yours. You can give it under any license you want. You can give it under Saket license, which says only people who are friends to Saket can use this software. No problem. We'll add that to the first list which says list licenses, which is Saket license. Nobody's using it in the world, but it's there. You can put it. No problem. All content created using GPL software is owned by the creator. Every single word written by a blogger is owned by that blogger, or at least the sequence of words in that paragraph. You can't say the word is owned by the blogger. Common myths. If I use GPL, my new software has to be GPL. Yes or no? No. This is yes and no. You can use LGPL. That's where the LGPL works, the lesser GPL license. Second, how does the software get used? Does it get integrated, or do you use the software from outside? Are you integrating at a code level, or are you using it from an exposed API, external API? I cannot sell GPL software. Nope, you can. You can sell it, except the guy who receives it can sell it again if he wants. GPL software has to be free, very similar to the first one. It need not be free. You can charge 5, 19, 20, 200. And believe me, try selling it at 200, you'll probably sell more. Probably sell more. I loved a Dilbert cartoon I saw many years ago. The guy is sitting outside the New York Stock Exchange and selling pencils. And the board price is pencils $10,000. So one guy just doesn't get it. He says, what the hell is this? He says, I figured I have to sell only one. Who wants to sell 10,000 pencils at $1 each? I'll just sell one pencil at $10,000. He probably, that's why he went and wrote the cartoons, but. You cannot use GPL software in your commercial website or product? Yes, no? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can use GPL software in your commercial website or product. The license allows you to do it, and the license allows you to make the changes as required as long as you're compliant. Oh, GPL license, very complex. How many people say yes to this? Very simple. 4 freedoms. And like surname, it propagates. That's all. That's GPL. GPL is a copyright. Copyleft. You cannot charge for modifying GPL software for a client. Yes, you can. There's some of the answers some people have been having. Yes, you can, because there you're selling your time. And this is one more reason why GPL is 55% of the world. This is one more reason why people are using GPL software. Not because they ever want to modify or change the software themselves, but they can hire someone to do it if they ever need to. Unlike what happens if you suddenly need to make one menu change in Microsoft Office 2011. Bill will say, "Aajao." You want? Come. Give me away your credit card. For the next 5 years, I'll bill you every month. You can hire somebody who knows PHP. Code dekh ke, please tell me, add this menu item. He'll say, I need money. Okay, take money. Much less than what Bill will ask. GPL cannot be upheld in a court of law. It used to be a myth, a solid myth. Fantech, D-Link. Do you know D-Link has violated GPL and paid for it? Linksys, Cisco routers, have stolen GPL code, embedded them into their routers and violated the license. They've paid for it. Most of the time they've settled out of court by contributing and saying, sorry, yeah, take some money. But they've said sorry. 10 minutes, okay. 10, 15 minutes, he said. Should I say 25? That means 25 minutes? 10, 15? No. 2, 3 minutes only, please. Okay, references. I'm not going to give you references, I'm going to give you keywords. Search for these keywords and you'll get all the links I read and more. Okay, it's good. Search for GPL violations. Very interesting. Search for GPL adoption. As long as you put GPL, you'll get the right sort of adoption. Don't worry. GPL WordPress debate. We don't have the time here, and I want to be invited to other WordCamps, so I'm not talking about the GPL WordPress debate. Please read up about the GPL WordPress debate. I know Prasad is here, is a vocal supporter of this debate. There are plus points, there are plus points, negative points, happy arguments, unhappy arguments. Read about it. Very interesting stuff. Read about the GPL WordPress debate. Okay? I think I'm done. Yes, about me, Kartik Magapu. I'm a co-founder of a company called Hummingbird Web Solutions Private Limited. We run out of Pune, and we're open source lovers. WordPress is a big part of what we do. We make money selling open source software. WPAka.com. Questions?
You said Matt chose GPL for WordPress. By definition of GPL, isn't it was forced on then because B2 from which WordPress is forked was
he didn't have
GPL.
a choice either.
So he didn't have a choice.
He forked another GPL project, and so he had to keep it GPL.
He had to keep it.
No,
so it's like
good point.
Yeah.
Matt is not the original copyright owner of WordPress. He just propagated the code he wrote after that. If you probably compare the original fork with WordPress now, there'd be about 0% of original code. That's okay.
Yeah.
But but he did fork another GPL project, which is exactly what Stallman wanted.
Yeah.
Stallman did not want Everyone to reinvent the bloody worksheet, Excel sheet again and again and again and again. For the last 25 years, people have been trying to write the Excel, the Word, the PowerPoint algorithms again and again.
Like you said, companies store a GPL code integrated in their router. So without removing that GPL code, can we just use a part of those code? Means like we wrote a software, 10 people wrote a software. From one person.
You can do. See, you can modify it and use it any way you want. So modification is using part of it.
But I don't want my entire software to be I just want that because
If it is, it depends on how you use it. It depends on the original license. If it's a lesser GPL, then you probably could. If you're integrating it into your code, into your functions, if you have a functions and you're adding 10 more GPL functions into it, probably no. But if you had another program which you're communicating using, let's say, XML RPC, if you're using some communication API method, then you can probably get away with it. But if you're opening your source code and adding this source code into that, no.
So basically, to extend his question, adding XML, it's me.
Sorry.
So adding XML RPC call is a system, and we talk about system, then the code is a part of the system. So my question is specifically, is there any law defined which can say, okay, exactly you are embedding the code into your system and it is illegal if you are not making it GPL? For example, in SAP, if I'm doing it.
Yeah. So see, that's what. So if, as I said, if it's running in a different process under your CPU, if it's executing as a separate process and communicating with the memory structures of this other GPL software, it's fine. That's not exactly what happens in a Linux laptop. The Linux operating system itself is open source, a variant of GPL, but for the sake of argument, let's say it's GPL. And you run somebody's private C program. You're not violating GPL because the C program runs in its own process and all the Linux programs running separately, and the C program is calling some functions exposed publicly by those C programs. So to give you an example, WordPress exposes some API to allow you to add a comment through an email. If you had a program which did that, you need not open it to GPL. But you need somebody else to load your code, parse your code, compile it, embed it, roll it into your compiler, have it available, call that call onto the WordPress program. Today, what are you doing? How many people here, people say, I'm writing code. What do? You write 7 lines of code and you say, why? Because you're using WordPress. Right. That's why whatever you do becomes GPL. If you go through the whole project and write your own compiler, your own linker, or you use open source linkers and compilers and come up with an object which is working in the computer on its own and then interacting with WordPress, yay, call it Saket license. I'm sorry, your license, yes.
Okay.
See, Richard didn't like this. This is what he didn't like.
We'll keep this as the last question. We're running out of time. We need to
And I'm hungry.
Yeah, everybody's hungry.
Yeah, everybody's hungry.
Question.
So, Kartik, right here.
Yes.
Yes. The thing is, I get a GPL license code from you, written by you. I add 2 lines, which I feel will enhance the productivity, the function, whatever the code is doing.
Yes.
I pass it on to someone, and he thinks, nahi yaar, I'll write 2 more lines.
Correct.
And over a period of time, there are 10 modifications, and it comes back to you.
Correct.
How will you, how do we keep a track of those footprints of whoever, whatever has done? It'll just keep on building, na? There will be a Kartik license, then there will be a Premanshu license, then there will be a Saket license, and then so on and so forth.
Correct.
So how do we actually,
So 2 questions. First question is, why do you want to keep track? Okay. I keep track of Kartik license. I keep track of my changes. I keep track of my code which I write. Why do I need to keep track of what you do, what you do, what you do, what you do? Right. I have no other work. Okay.
So
my question is that software will grow. If I don't work hard and make my version of this software useful, friendly, fast, effective, probably your software will take over, just like that the original fork of WordPress took over. Okay. That is the other thing that fosters that innovation. You cannot resist, you cannot force people to use something because they have no other choice.
Just because that is possible, Saket license and Premanshu license is possible, doesn't mean it actually happens. What actually happens is, we take Kartik's software, and if I make some modification, I send it back to Kartik saying, see, I have made this change, and if he thinks it's appropriate to his main software, he'll add it. If he doesn't, you're still free to use a modification. But usually what happens is, if the modification is really useful, it goes back to the original software. That's why we have a lot of people here, some people at least here, who would have contributed to WordPress.
How many people have contributed to WordPress here?
This guy, no.
No, I haven't. Not me.
Saurabh, people think you've done everything.
Yeah,
I know.
Saurabh, yes.
I have this bad image. around.
Superman, yeah.
Not too many, but
But there are a lot of
couple here.
developers in India.
Yes,
There's
nice.
somebody here, right?
Yes, one there, one there. Nice.
So yeah, these people have actually modified some part of WordPress or added something to WordPress, sent it back to the team, the community that manages WordPress, and their code is in there. Their names are there in the license, in the copyrights. I personally know some people who have added code. They're not here. There's Joshua, there's Faisal, they're from Articam. They're not here. So I have friends who have actually added to WordPress. I have contributions to BuddyPress and other GPL software. A lot of people here must have some or the other GPL contribution. If not WordPress, something else. So when we say free software, I think this was said in Baroda. Shravan had come down and said this. When we say free software, we say it's not like free beer. It's free as in freedom. So it's just that.
Those 4 freedoms.
4 freedoms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where it all comes from. You heard? How many people have heard this? Free as in beer, free as in freedom. Baroda.
People who are in Baroda.
Yeah. So free as in freedom. It gives you the freedom to do what you want with it. That's what Richard Stallman envisioned, and that's what is being propagated.
So with that thought, we using this excellent free software. The best thing about GPL, WordPress being GPL, is suddenly it's being used by a quarter of the world's websites. It keeps fluctuating between 18 and 25. Different people have different statistics, but that's purely because it's GPL. If I'm not wrong, if somebody has a different opinion, please be free to discuss it after WordCamp. But yeah, that's the power of GPL. If your software is open source, if it's GPL, it can grow to WordPress level.